I'll try not to fanboy on some of this stuff, but I'm going to turn it over to John, and who I am probably one of his biggest fans now for being able to put something like this together. So, John, give us your take on what's going on this weekend and these two guys sitting next to you.
Yeah, just having guys like this together, even though it's two different worlds, they're still speaking the same language. I think just the priorities are a little bit different. And I think just the way, really the question we got to ask ourselves is like what winning looks like. And once we start to think about that, it's like if I'm a bare knuckle boxer or a bare knuckle MMA fighter, it looks a little bit different. Where if I'm fighting in a weapons-based environment, that looks a little bit different. And there's a lot of different ways to win. There's a lot of different ways to get hurt, but it's like, if there's so many ways to get hurt, it's like, okay, like, so I'm not even going to worry about that, but there's like finite number of ways to win. So because of that, it's like, okay, I'm going to be prepared for that. I'm going to develop an overarching strategy that kind of encompasses what winning looks like. And then I'm going to approach my problem. And I think when people ask questions like that, as far as like what they're trying to do and truly develop a body of work, that's how you have all these guys that, although they didn't meet each other until recently, like oh yeah, I agree with that. That's something I found out with. Like you're seeing so much overlap and so much intersection as far as like different coursework and different material. And one of the things that happened before we came and then had this Combatives Summit is I trained with Ben. I trained with Cliff. I went over to Craig's class, did some privates with Cecil. I've been, following Mikey for several years, especially since the fake black belt video, which went viral on YouTube. So, and just the American Top Team is such a prestigious academy.
Wait, time out. That was you?
Yeah.
That was me.
That was you without the beard.
Dude, this guy is like
that's a class.
He's like the invisible hand. Like he's everywhere.
I had
like
no idea.
If you really look closely, like he's in like almost every viral video. You see him in like the Trick or Time TV. Like he's
I had no idea.
Yeah. It's but yeah, it's like you see all these guys just coming together, and it's because like they're all trying to solve a problem. They're all thinkers, not just people that are practicing. They're all dedicated to their martial art, but not so much where that they're worshiping the altar of the art. They're all agnostic as far as like, maybe I need to tweak this. Maybe I need to add wrestling here. Maybe there's something I can look at Sambo. Maybe I can look. They're willing to extract and look at other places as far as solving the problem. They're willing to understand that, like, maybe ground grappling, there's a limit there. Maybe I need to look at as far as like how developing a clinch, how developing strikes, maybe even disengaging, how that plays into this. So analyzing the problem from all different aspects. And the way I think, my opinion is like the way this was all able to finally come together is that you have practical shooting kind of coming up. We had that since 76 or something like that. 50 years of practical shooting. We have 30 years of UFC. No one's doing katas anymore.
Right.
No one's really just going to like, thinking they got a puncher's chance like they used to. There's a couple people, but it's like the cat's out the bag. Like we know what real fighting looks like, and we start to understand that the more we start to loosen the rules, the more it looks like a real fight. And even though there is degrees of artificiality within modern martial arts training, within your boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, we understand like if you can't beat me with rules, like there's not a way where you're going to beat me without rules. And like you can fight dirty if you want to, but yeah, I can do that too, but I'm going to be able to do it from a position of control and be able to inflict so much more damage than what you can think.
So you brought something up there with regard to like what winning looks like. So I'm going to take it back to Mike here for a second, and just like what has winning looked like for you in your journey? Like where did it start? What was winning to what winning looks like now? And I think there's probably a few pieces to this. There's obviously the, what does the scorecard say, right? There's also what are the, who's submitted and who isn't, who's knocked out, who isn't. That's very clear. But I wonder about like the mindset piece and how this has evolved for you over time.
Well, if I'm going to be honest here, it's actually a pretty deep question. So for me, I'm a martial artist, and winning to me is learning everything about martial arts. That's a lifetime journey. And what a lot of people forget is, shooting, guns, that is part of martial arts. And that's something that I think we're starting to bring together with this community. We're finding the martial artists in the gun community. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you brought up about the guys that, aren't about the real fighting or whatever, they're not martial, they're craftsmen, There's a difference between a craft and an art, right?
100%.
Yeah, and that's we have a lot of martial craftsmen out there trying to do the cookie cutter, all right, this is what I was told, this is what I'm going to do, everything else is wrong. And we have martial artists trying to find what is actually beautiful and works best and what's going to be the best solution for the environment, right? It's going to be, I can apply that to a very simple rule set, like a cage fight, or I can apply that to a much more complex open world environment rule set, But once we learn how to do that, that's what art is about. That's what martial arts is all about. So Ben's martial arts journey is a little bit different than mine, but we have a very similar mindset just from hearing him talk. And the reason that we're all coming to these same answers is because we're looking at things as martial artists, We're trying to find what's going to be the effective and solution, and are there more than one solution? Is there an answer for that answer? What's the next level after that? And that's what leads to great martial arts. So winning for me is learning all that,
That's awesome.
And that's why, honestly, I never even liked competing. I only competed because my coach told me it would make me better. That's the only reason I ever did it. I hated competing. I did it. I was okay at it. I had some success. I learned from it. They were right, but I never was enjoying it. Until I did the bare knuckle thing, because that was, to me, felt different. So the bare knuckle fighting, I do enjoy that. That's the only one I like. But as far as competing goes, it makes you better. You learn from it. You have a strict rule set. You learn a lot about yourself and how you react to your environment. And then in that rule set and in that environment, winning is about whatever it takes to get your hand raised, right?
Yep.
Generally speaking, my main strategy is finish my opponent as quickly and efficiently as possible, which is, sometimes takes a while.
Within the parameters or the gutters that have been sent for you. Right and left rules.
So that's what winning is for me in that environment, right? And that's totally different than in a street environment.
Sure.
Totally different. I might, if I get into a street fight, there's no end limit, I might burn myself out trying to finish this guy, and then now I'm exhausted, and somebody that doesn't even know what they're doing can kill me, So we have to, think about the differences there. But for me, my overall journey here is to learn as much as possible. And I'm very invested in hand-to-hand fighting right now because I'm still young enough where I can invest myself in that physically and psychologically as a coach. And I know that, I'm not going to be able to fight in a cage bare knuckle when I'm 60, but I could probably shoot when I'm 60, right? So I have plenty more time to learn, to get all that, master all that at the end of the game. Yeah. But it's definitely something that's not outside of my interests. I 100% want to be if I can, to master, marksman one day. That's one of my goals for sure. But I know I've got more time to do that than win a world title in bare knuckle fighting or something.